Hello everyone, here at osmvtxroots.com. You're watching our video review of the eKit V4D. This is a very basic, very inexpensive, a bargain-priced handset that has a dual SIM card functionality, which means that in the back, if you remove the back cover, you have access to 2 SIM cards instead of 1, and you can hot swap between 2 different networks if you're a world traveler, for example, or if you're in the States and you want to have different zones between, for example, T-Mobile and AT&T, you can have both of those SIM cards in there, so you're never going to be really in a region where you're out of coverage in terms of network, which is a great feature to have. Otherwise, there also is a micro SD card behind the back cover. Now, the device only costs $35 unlocked, and it ships basically for free, so it's a very inexpensive device. We think that this phone is best suited for elderly people, for younger kids that you fear that they might lose your device, or that you don't want them having too many smartphone functionalities, or perhaps just as an emergency backup device in your car or vehicle, so that when your regular phone runs out of battery, you can just pop in your SIM card into this, and you're ready to go. So overall, not a very fancy device at all. There isn't even a camera on this device. Certainly, there isn't any Bluetooth or wireless capabilities like Wi-Fi. But on the other hand, there is just a very decent handset that basically puts calling first, and that's pretty important because this is a regular cell phone. Otherwise, the device has a very spacious, very large T9 style keyboard. It's layered in a very nice and easy to read manner. The buttons are very tactile. They're very easy to press. They're risen above the surface, so you can text and dial by feel, which is great. The device also has a backlit keyboard, which glows blue in darker environments, so it's pretty easy to see even if you're in the dark. Otherwise, there's 2 talk and end keys that dubs the power on and off key. There is also 2 hotkeys and a 5-way navigation toggle, which is pretty easy to use. Other than the fact that it's completely flush, so even though it has 5 keys in there, you can't really tell just by looking at it because it's completely flush. Otherwise, one of the disappointing aspects of this device is it lacks a dedicated volume rocker. So if you want to control the volume when you're calling someone, you have to use a D-pad, and it's a little bit more confusing, not as rudimentary, not as easy to utilize as a direct volume rocker on the side. Otherwise, again, the device is made entirely out of plastic. It has a pretty nice construction feel to it, even though it's very lightweight. Definitely looks, again, rather stylish. Because of the large T9 style keyboard on the front. The screen itself measures only 1.5 inches diagonally, so it's extremely small, but again, you're not doing too many functions on here, so it pretty much suits the design elementation of this handset. It has basically not the greatest colors on here. It has pretty good viewing angles, however, so in case you want to use this to view some very basic videos or some music, listen to music, view photos, or anything like that, it's going to work just fine for displaying those basic graphics. Of course, you do have a few applications on here, not anything too fancy. Again, there isn't that camera, so you can't even take more images directly with the device. Otherwise, on the right-hand side of the phone, we have access to a proprietary charging port. On the top of the device, we have a 2.5mm headphone jack for listening to music, and the aforementioned flashlight feature, which is pretty cool. The back of the device, it just has a loudspeaker, which again is very loud, great for playing music, and great for the speakerphone modes as well. As far as battery life is concerned, the device charges up basically in 2 hours, and then a full battery charge will last you around 2 to 3 weeks in continuous standby mode. That's a great battery life to have, and especially if you want to turn the phone off and only turn it on when you use it, the battery life lasts forever, as you might expect from such a basic device. So again, there aren't too many features on here. You can see it's a very basic design in the menu and UI interface. Just as a very basic, shows your different networks in case you have both SIM cards inserted. There's a battery indicator on the very right-hand corner, and also some signal strength information, in addition to a basic clock. You can change the wallpaper if you want in the settings. So taking a look at the menu, it's very basic. You just click left or right through the different settings. They are inclusive of message, call log, you have contacts, profiles, multimedia, tools, and file manager, and settings. And that's basically it. And I think the most interesting features on here are definitely in the multimedia and the tools selection parts, because everything else is basically you might find on a typical phone of any caliber. So going to multimedia, again, you have that aforementioned audio player. We don't have any music on here, but it just basically displays your title and then your song, your duration, and you can adjust the volume by clicking up and down using the D-pad instead of using, again, the volume rocker. And it works pretty well for the most part. It supports MP3 WMA file formats, so you basically have all your songs played back. I wouldn't say it's the best music player out there simply because there is a little bit of static, especially if you're using the headphone jack. Since it's a non-proprietary port, it uses, again, that 2.5mm jack instead of a 3.5mm jack, so it limits the types of stereo headphones that you can actually use on this phone, unfortunately. There is basically, again, that video viewer, but you are limited to a smaller screen, but it does work. There's also a FM radio, which you need to plug in a headphone to use as an antenna, and that works pretty much as well. Sometimes there's a little bit spotty in terms of reception, but it works pretty well if you, you're in the right coverage area. There's also an image browser for looking at basic images, and basically, that's what you expect. Like the video player, it's a little bit limited by the smaller screen. In terms of tools here, we have access to the calendar, very basic. You can add different options, add different dates and notifications, which works pretty well. You have a calculator on here as well, as you might expect. A alarm clock for setting different alarms, very basic. We also have a voice recorder, which works pretty well, but you have to have a memory card installed, and that's pretty much it in terms of features. Now, in order to access the actual flashlight itself, you have to use the keypad. It's not actually hidden in the settings, which is something we initially thought, but instead you press the flashlight key for 3 seconds, and then the flashlight will actually turn on. It's a pretty bright LED flashlight, and it works pretty nicely in darker environments. It's definitely a nice feature to have, especially if you're perhaps using this as your daily phone, and then you can't find your keys in the dark or anything like that. Then this device will definitely come in handy as an extra LED flashlight. To turn the flashlight off, of course, you just press the same button for 3 seconds longer, and it's going to flash off. And I would definitely say that using a flashlight drains the battery considerably quicker. But on the other hand, it actually isn't as bad as it might seem, and even with the flashlight turned on, it still lasted us around a typical week before the battery really drained during our tests. So overall, as far as reception quality and call quality is concerned, it's a great phone. We found that when we were calling and we were testing it, our testers said that we basically sounded like we were talking through a land phone, which is a great compliment to have on any cell phone. Reception, again, was also pretty strong for an unlocked device. So overall, we definitely recommend the eKit V4 for the elderly audience, for younger audience, or even as an emergency backup device. It's not going to be suitable for those looking for a smartphone or even a multimedia phone. But again, if you just want something really basic with perhaps a very stylish design with a very inexpensive price tag coupled with some unique features here and there like a flashlight or an FM radio, then I think that the device will be a pretty good suit for you. Thanks for watching here at osmvtxreviews.com. This has been our video review.